Hello and a very big warm welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ethereum, a crypto that has risen 44% in the last month. What is going on? Is it going to continue to go up? What could help it go up further? Or is there going to be a pullback? Now, I should say I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but I've got a really interesting point to show you by a Twitter newsletter called the Kobesi letter on X. It talks about the pressures that Ethereum is currently facing, which could ultimately stick around because it could ultimately determine whether Ethereum continues to go up and subsequently everything else in the market goes up outside of Bitcoin, or if it goes down. So let's take a look at it. Rightly so, Ethereum is one of the biggest cryptos there are. $436 billion market cap. It is at full circulating supply, although the max supply here says, approximated. So everything's out there. Now, 56 billion in volume in the last 24 hours is absolutely insane. The price has gone up 20% in the last week and 5% in the last day. Why is this? So there's no guarantee, but ultimately if demand is higher than supply, just like any assets, then the price tends to go up. But I saw this morning and thought it is well worth sharing, and definitely follow this letter on Twitter and X if you can. So Ethereum is making history. We are currently witnessing one of the largest short squeezes in crypto history. Now stick around, don't worry if you don't know what a short squeeze is, it will become a bit clearer in a second. So it's added 150 billion in market cap since July the 1st in 3 weeks. This is just after net short exposure hit record high. So whenever you short something, you think shares are going to go down in price. Now, to keep it nice and simple, if I short Ethereum, it goes down in price, I make money. The opposite effect is if I short Ethereum and it goes up in price, I start losing money. And you have this thing called a liquidation price. It could be anywhere around here, let's say 3,400. Now, if I'm shorting something, as I get closer to my liquidation price, if I get liquidated because the price has gone up, at the point of liquidation, to close out the contract, which I have no choice but to because I'm liquidated, if I've shorted them, then now I have to buy them because I've essentially sold the shares without owning them. And thus, if they go up and I have to, close my position, if I've sold shares without owning them, I then have to buy them back as such. So whenever you get liquidated on a short sale, the equivalent outcome is you're actually buying them back to cover that liquidation. And so continuing on with this, here you're going to see this data. Net short exposure was 25% above levels seen in 2025. So many more people apparently were selling and predicting that Ethereum was going to go down in price in the last few weeks. And in less than a month, Ethereum has surged 70%, which has been pretty insane. Now, at the same time as all of this, World Liberties Financial, Trump's World Liberties Financial has been buying Ethereum. It bought $5 million worth, less than 24 hours ago. And this adds fuel to what is a short squeeze. So a short squeeze is when everybody who's selling Ethereum and shorting it, many of these institutions, when they get close to their liquidation price, there's already upward momentum on Ethereum's price. So, for example, if I go over the one-day chart, if your liquidation price is here, as you're rising up here, it's not being sold, the price of Ethereum is going up, you get to your liquidation price, you get liquidated, and so at this point, when the momentum's already high, you as a short seller are then forced to buy shares in Ethereum to close out your position. That increases the demand on an already big upward momentum trend. Therefore, you push it up again to up here, where if there's more people shorting Ethereum who think it's going to go down in price, if they then reach their liquidation price, they're then forced to buy and it goes up again. And so this is roughly the trend that they're speaking about here. So BlackRock's ETF added Ethereum on the 29th, and something and someone knew something was coming, basically. Anyway, moral of the story here, get a bit distracted, is that if Ethereum apparently rises another 10%, 1 billion of shorts will be liquidated. That could then see Ethereum cross $4,000 possibly soon, depending on the liquidated shorts, depending on if people have margin and so on. So a lot of this data is public information that you can find. But I think what's really interesting here is that the actual market sentiment is quite positive. There is momentum despite having a lot of short sellers out there, which is causing the price to continuously rise up. And here we can see Ethereum went down to 1.3k. It's now back up to 3.6. That is an insane return based on what we saw earlier this year. So what does this mean for the broader market? Well, that's Ethereum specifically. This could have a knock-on effect on the whole crypto market, especially the altcoin market, which I'm going to come to in my next video. But I hope you found this valuable and enjoyed seeing a bit of insider intel there from a newsletter. But once again, this is not financial advice. That is not financial advice either. Nothing is guaranteed to ever happen. And I'm trusting that all of their data they've publicly put out there is correct. Thank you very much. Take care and subscribe down below.